Fantastic.
So let's do this.
Let's do this.
Big welcome, Sanya, our in-person participant, our in-person on-screen participant. Really warm welcome to you, and to anybody who's watching the video. Welcome to Embodying the Archetypes, our Sovereign Circle, where we're continuing our theme of exploring wholeness, our oneness, our fullness, and how the archetypes can support us to kind of fill ourselves with us and different aspects of us to get a fuller, more richer experience of life. So today we're going to explore that through Sovereign. Really find Sovereign just a useful place to come home to again and again. Whenever I'm a little bit skittery, I come back to Sovereign, and it always lands me a little bit, gives me a bit of a moment. But so I think David's gonna lead our movement session today, and he's going to start us off with Sovereign, which is really useful because it'll give us a pulling in point and a point of connection. As usual, just invite anybody who's watching, and you, Sanya, to connect with yourself in your own leadership of you, your own responsibility for how you approach this session. I don't think it's too challenging, but that depends on your starting point. So if you find anything that you really feel is going to be contraindicated for you emotionally or physically, then please adjust it, or feel free just to sit back and watch if that's what you prefer. We offer things as a suggestion. It's not a hard and fast expectation of this is how you do it, because there are many ways to get the result. And also just to remind you, Sanya, that the session is recorded, and so we'd love to hear from you. But if you want to share more confidentially, then you can always share in the chat. So let's step into Sovereign, and the way what we're exploring today is, how we can more fully live different aspects of our lives from our sovereign self. Get that sense of fulfillment from really giving all of ourselves into one area of our life, and also maybe exploring some of the areas that are a little bit falling short or not quite meeting our expectations, to see what we might be able to shift there. So I'm going to hand over to David, and he's going to take us through a movement practice that will give us some awareness and therefore hopefully more choice in how we approach these areas. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Thea, and welcome everybody. So let us stand. Of course, you can do this sitting if you prefer, but standing, in my experience, just gives a little bit more freedom, gives a little bit more options available to us, so that we can play around with things with a bit more fluidity. Very good. Okay. So let us start with just bringing our attention to our sovereign embodiment, and then we can go from there. So starting with our feet about shoulder width apart, and allowing our arms to relax down by our sides. And maybe gazing out of the window or gazing down towards the floor so that we have a soft focus. And paying attention to the feeling in the body, so starting at the feet, moving our attention up the legs towards the pelvis. Feeling the pelvis, and then moving up towards the belly, into the belly and the lower back, the upper back and chest. And then our shoulders and our arms, all the way down to our fingers. And finally, bringing our attention to our neck and our head as well. And then with that awareness, balancing our posture so that we feel that our hips are stacked over our feet and our shoulders are stacked over our hips, and our head is balanced on the top of our spine. And then using that alignment to relax the body, starting at the forehead and around the eyes, relaxing the muscles there, the jaw and the tongue, relaxing the throat and the chest, allowing the belly to relax so that it comes out a little bit, and allowing the pelvis and the legs to relax. And you'll feel the weight dropping down through your body towards the floor. And relaxing the feet as much as you can so that your feet are spread on the floor and you feel really supported by the floor. And then with that support, you might feel the floor pushing you back up, or at least that sensation of feeling connected to the ground and also feeling quite light, which is one of the signatures for me of Sovereign, so that you feel long in your spine. And maybe imagine you're wearing a crown on your head and a cloak over your shoulders that drops down towards the ground. And that if it helps you to get into that feeling of Sovereign even more, you might want to maintain that feeling and walk around your space. So walking in a dignified way, feeling upright, imagining the spine the crown on your head, feeling the cloak behind you on the floor, dragging, walking slowly, walking purposefully, walking with a sense of dignity and uprightness. But you also might prefer to remain stationary and standing still. So whether you're moving or whether you're walking, allow yourself to connect in with the Sovereign and to bring up an area of your life that you would like to explore today. An area of your life, and try and be as specific as you can. So rather than saying maybe work in general, that you might want to think of maybe a particular relationship with somebody at work, or a particular situation at work, or a particular part of your job. Or it could be a particular person, a friend or a family member, or a particular situation with a certain person. Or it could be around your health, or your well-being, or your diet, or your exercise. And as you bring that part of your life to mind, connect in with yourself and allow yourself to experience, well, am I really living in my sovereignty? Am I really connected to Sovereign when I'm in this specific area in my life? And if you're not really fully in your Sovereign, you might notice something subtle changing in your embodiment. So you might feel less connected to the ground, or you might feel your breathing change. You might feel your chest collapsing or your shoulders rolling over so that you feel maybe more hunched. Or you might feel that kind of dignity, that height, that length in your body might begin to disappear. There could be one or many different ways in which your embodiment changes. And just to notice that change in embodiment. Or maybe there's no change in your embodiment. Maybe you're really owning that part of your life at the moment, in which case, enjoy that. Enjoy that. And whichever way your embodiment goes, whether you're staying in your sovereignty or whether you feel yourself come out of your sovereignty, begin to notice the stories, the thoughts, the feelings that come with that situation. Maybe they're one of courage or clarity or joy, Or maybe it's one of perhaps feeling a little disappointed or confused or unfocused, withdrawn or overwhelmed. And try and observe those feelings and sensations, those thoughts and stories with a sense of no judgment, a willingness and openness to accept and acknowledge what is true for you in this situation. And that if you find yourself in a situation where you're out of your sovereignty, can you bring yourself back to that sense of being in your full sovereignty? If you lost connection with the ground, can you regain that? If you lost the length and the dignity of your body, can you reconnect to that? If you felt your spine collapse, can you bring your spine more upright? Or if your shoulders rolled, can you open your chest and make your shoulders roll back and down? Can you allow your breathing to deepen again so that you feel connected to your sovereign? And once you're in your sovereignty, then you could ask yourself the question, well, what could I do differently? Feel free to keep moving around the space if you want. What could I, now that I'm in my sovereignty, what can I do in the situation that I thought about? What could I do differently? How could I show up differently in this situation? And if you chose a situation where you're already in your sovereignty, maybe you could think to yourself, well, how would I like this relationship or this situation? How would I like it to evolve further? How could I go deeper? How could this situation develop and still maintain this feeling of sovereignty? And again, noticing the thoughts and feelings, the stories that you're telling yourself when you're in this sovereign embodiment, thinking about this situation. So if you were still, then please remain still. If you're walking around, then please come to a place where you can stand still. You don't have to be on screen. And just take a moment to allow your body to become still and for you to connect into what is present for you right now in this situation. What is true for you? What are you learning from this situation? What have you discovered about the situation that you focused on? What have you discovered about sovereign yourself? What have you discovered about reclaiming your sovereignty if the situation has you step out of your sovereignty? And also, how does this situation evolve and develop and move forward when you remain in your sovereignty? And then taking a moment to wiggle your fingers and toes and move that up your legs and your arms into the trunk of your body. And then come and sit down back in front of the computer screen if you want to. And take whatever notes that you want to take for yourself that helps with your reflections on that exercise. Just need to go and get my glasses because I can't see. But for then, I will hand over to Thea.
Thanks, David. That was great. Yeah, so Sanya, I just want to know if you feel like debriefing or sharing what you got. That'd be lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, it's quite a surprising reaction. I'm sitting with lots of sadness. I have a very complex, heated situation with my family abroad. And I realized I was in sovereign and warrior. And I'm realizing I need sovereign and lover. And just the sadness for whatever is going on, and still being sovereign gives me sadness, because being like that, and I have to take some actions regarding my family, brings just sadness for, yeah, that's very alive. I'm really in lots of pain. It feels like when I'm sovereign, I'm owning and taking, and yeah, I'm quite confused.
Are you confused by the fact that you're feeling the pain, or that you're feeling the sadness?
Sadness surprised me, and I think I'm accepting situation and I'm mourning, but being sovereign and I have to take legal actions, and it's somehow awareness of being in this light power is like, I don't know. I want to name maybe other things and see what comes up. Is like, I love this lightness and lover with sovereign. And I'm realizing the new me is calm and relaxed and light, and just knowing what needs to be done and just being with that and not going into warrior state. So this is very, very valuable, because I have to go through months of family difficulties. And yeah, I'm sad for what it is. And I want to be light, sovereign lover to hold the situation the best I can. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you. I'm currently doing a embodied meditation course, and in the last few weeks we've been working on compassion.
Yeah.
One of the things that they talk about with compassion is this idea of being with someone suffering, just being with it and wanting to be able to relieve it, but like it's like allowing your heart to break is the thing that they talk about, you know, allowing your heart to break in that. And it's a very painful, it can be a very painful, but also very just so giving, so opening, so loving.
Yeah, thank you. That resonates. Just being with all this pain and allowing it and just seeing what happens. Yeah.
I cut across you, Thea. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Because I think I've had a similar experience, and I don't want to make assumptions about what's happening for you, but kind of what I've heard is that being in sovereign connects you with the sadness. So you kind of feel it in a way that we're very good in our emotional world of like charging ahead with something or coping that actually pushes the emotions out instead of just letting them be. And one of the expressions when I first started learning to be a coach, one of the expressions I learned from one of my teachers was, and I'm not going to say who this is from, because I'm not 100% sure, but there's an expression of pain is inherent and suffering is optional.
Yeah.
So the pain of life, we can't not live with pain, but we can experience that pain and not make it suffering by trying to resolve it in favor of what we think we should be doing, or like you say, resolve it by being fierce about it, or resolve it by avoiding it, or resolving it by wallowing in it. And that when we have that relationship with pain, we're putting ourselves in suffering. I think it might be Joseph Campbell, but I'm not 100% sure that he's the origin of that quote. But I find it so helpful when I'm in difficult situations to go, it's okay to feel the pain of this. If I start wandering around or withdrawing from life because of it, or any of my normal reactions, then the suffering of that is what I don't want to live with. I don't want to give that space in my life. But the pain, that's life.
Learning. And thank you, Tia. I feel very supported being here, and as well with your presence and sharing. And another thing that just came to my mind that was alive, as we were in Sovereign and my mind started to be occupied, I was very locked. And then David invited us to move. And as I moved, something released. So that was quite like I felt maybe not lightness, but I was freer. I was not locked in difficulties. So yeah, that was something about movement when I get stuck.
Yeah. Gosh, it amazes me how again and again movement is the answer, and how often we forget that simple possibility, that simple exploration. Maybe if I moved now, it would change something.
Yeah.
I loved that exercise, David. It was interesting because I just something came to me. I didn't think this was what I had on my mind, but I looked at finances. And when you said get specific about it, I got saving. And I thought, because it feels like, I can make money to live, and very often I don't have a lot of savings behind me. And even when I did, or when I do, it's often because I don't use my money. So there's a pattern in, right, I won't use that, I won't enjoy that. And so I have savings because I haven't used that. So again, it's a bit of a holding on rather than a purposeful building of a resource. And when I stepped in, when I pulled out of Sovereign, I could feel the unworthiness that I don't have the value to have reserves in my life. And wow, what a brilliant thing to step into, to feel the value of having, the inherent righteousness to have reserves of finances in my life. Sovereign, particularly our royal family, they do fine, thank you very much. And it's an inherent right in that sovereign being to feel, well, why wouldn't I have money? Why wouldn't I have a lot of money available to me? And I really love just going, okay. And then it's just a real simple step to go back to a regular thing of deciding a percentage, and every time some money comes in, put that into savings. Even if it means I have to budget a bit more elsewhere, just be very rigorous about that, because as soon as it starts to build, I start to feel like, I've earned that, I can have that. And it's very satisfying, and it feels very simple in that sovereign space, and it just feels like I block it off in my patterned embodiment.
It feels like there's something in that about like if Sovereign wants to be able to do something and money's required for it, it feels important to be able to access that money in some way, to be able to make things happen. Yes, to have savings, and also to have the freedom in it to use savings when it's true to as well. Or just to be able to create the money in some way, I guess. And that might be through savings, or it might be through some other way of earning money that is more spontaneous or creative. But having that power. Sanya, looks like you wanted to say something.
I am sitting with this flow, and I spoke about my stuckness, and what Tia is sharing is a bit more flow with finances, and me flow with my family and not stuckness. And there is something about flow, I'm not quite sure what, but that's very alive in the space.
Well, Lover is very flow. Yeah, like there's another model of embodiment that we kind of touch into sometimes called the 4 elements. and one of the elements is water, and water and lover come together quite nicely. Like warrior and fire, they come together quite nicely. There's a interesting relationship there, lots of commonality. And so I think that there is something about lover is about relating. How do I relate to money? How do I relate to these relationships, all these different things? It's very interesting.
Yeah, now what comes up is like when there is more love, there is more flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And compassion is one of the aspects of love that they talk about in Buddhist meditation.
Mm.
I'm so glad I'm here.
I'm so glad you came, Sonia.
We're very, very, very pleased to have you here. Yeah, thank you for your contribution. So we have minutes to go, Thea. So do you want to wrap us up? And
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I really enjoyed that, and it was lovely to have a kind of a really gentle space just with you, Sonia, to get to know you better. It's really appreciate you coming. If you're listening or watching this on video, I hope it's had some value for you. Do leave us any comments or ideas or thoughts on the Archetypes Academy Facebook group or under the video. People can leave comments on the videos, can't they? Yeah. So do let us know how you go with it if you've explored this. We're always interested to hear where other people get to. We'll be here next week at the same time, 5:30 UK time. If you're getting value from these sessions, we would really invite you to come and join us live, or bring somebody else as well if you think that it would be useful to them to grow our community. And also the sessions are by donation. So I'm going to just put the link up that if you want to make a donation, we're always very grateful, and it really helps us to also then keep providing what we can at cost for people who aren't in a position to make any payment. And we love being able to do that. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in a week. And in the meantime, if you'd like to just keep yourself on mute, Sonia, and we'll say goodbye and move on into our day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.